Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I am absolutely thrilled that you are here. I am Billy Dees. If you have never checked out our program before, I'm getting a lot of new carries on different platforms. So if you just happen to be running across the podcast, first of all, I'm glad you found us. And you can find us, the Billy Dees Podcast, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's probably where most of our listens come from. But we're also on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, on down the line, TuneIn, just about all of the major podcasts. We are there. You can also follow me on Twitter. Real easy to find at Billy Dees. That's pretty much my social media home. On the studio line today, I have Christine Hall. How are you doing, Christine?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. I know it was short notice. We had a cancellation, and I really appreciate you stepping up. It's been a while since I have had a comedian on the podcast. So I'm anxious.
Nice.
Yes. Now, you are from Ontario,
Yes,
Canada. Is
I'm
that
in Windsor.
Oh, okay. Were
Yep.
you? Is that where you were from originally, or did you somehow, through some twist of fate, end up there?
Twist of fate. I
Okay.
grew up in Sudbury, Ontario.
Okay.
And then in my 20s, I moved to Hamilton and got married, had 3 children. And then my husband, 3 years ago, got transferred to Windsor. So that's how I ended up here.
That's great. Now you've been on Twitter, and just to let our
Yes,
audience know, you're at Christine Comedy on Twitter. Now you have a
yes.
pretty healthy following on there, and you've been on since 2011.
I have been on since then, but I haven't really been active. It took
Okay.
me about 3 goes before I could feel comfortable on there. It's pretty fast paced,
Yeah.
and so really, I would say in the last year is when it just started to grow, and I love it. I love all the interaction. It's amazing.
You, tweet little humorous things, little witticisms, and all these things. Where do you get your material from? I mean, do you just
uh,
things come to you, or what happens?
they come to me. I try to think about it. Sometimes I do tweet calls, and it's a an account where people will do a tweet call, and then you sometimes they'll put a theme on, so that gets my head going, and I'll have to think of something like they'll have something about squirrels one day, and then you've got
Yeah.
to think of funny things for that. Otherwise, it's just things that are happening around me, which isn't a lot lately. But I'm working with nothing, but I'm still trying to put stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, you have to have that, that creative spark, and being that you're doing stand up, and for the audience that may not know, stand up is more difficult than what a lot of people realize. I was a disc jockey for many years, and when I did stand up and I was out on the stage, I suddenly realized I couldn't hide behind a soundboard. I couldn't hide behind a lot of loud volume. I was just there with a microphone in my hand, and
It,
you're your own writer, and so much goes into not so much what you say being the words themselves being funny, but it's how you perform it. So,
yes.
is that kind of what drew you to it? How do you approach the art form of doing stand up?
So I had wanted to do it since I was in my 20s, and I didn't get to the open mic. My very first open mic, I was 43 years old. So that's how hard it is to like actually cross up and get up on that stage, like
Yeah.
for some people. So I grew up shy, and it took me a long time to like find my own, and I always found excuses because it's so daunting, that whole like going up there and facing all those people. I think you have to be like a little bit crazy
Yeah, sure.
to get up there.
Yeah.
So anyway, a window opened up, and the I call it like a nagging I had. That feeling was getting louder, like it just wouldn't stop. So I was like, I better just do this. I treated it like a bucket list item, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to do it, check it, and go. And I went up. I completely bombed, but in my bombing, like I forgot all my lines, and in that bombing, I was still able to make them laugh, just being crazy me, I
Yeah.
guess. And there was something about that that made me fall in love with it. Because I got in the car and I went with one other friend, a very supportive friend. And I got in the car and she was like, "Oh man, are you all right?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "I can't wait to go again." She's
Yes.
like, "You're nuts." Because it's so like I watched other stand-ups. I'll watch any kind of stand-up. And, I would watch it and I'd be like, "I can do that, I can do that." And then when I
Yeah.
would see, like, say, a mom do it, I'd be like, "Oh my god, I can put my material on there, no problem." But when you actually go to step out, it's so daunting. It's like, so much pressure and it's
Yeah.
like silence. It's all based on you. There is nowhere to run or hide.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, I was always, like, the life of the party. At work, I could make everybody laugh. Do you know what I mean? But it's
Yes.
safe. Who
Yes.
cares, right? Here, it was like, my god, the pressure, but I have loved it. I've loved it. I've done it for about a year now
Yeah.
and
It
have been madly in love.
That's fantastic, and, that's an
Mhm.
interesting point because it's one thing to be funny socially. A lot of people are.
Mhm.
When you're out at the bar or whatever and you're cracking jokes, it's another thing to stand up there and put it in the form of a routine where you have an
Oh my
angle.
god.
It
I
it
have had Oh, it's crazy. I have had to learn so many things over that year because what I thought was funny, I guess I'm more like a storyteller,
Yeah.
and you don't have that kind of time. You have 5 minutes. So I had to, like, in that year, I've learned tons. But you really, like, have to narrow it down and slam them out, and you're trying to get the laugh, and it's all timing, and it's
Yes.
all your audience, like, that can change up on you. It's wild. And you know what? You get, like, there's hits and misses for
Oh,
everybody.
sure.
Yeah, so you have to, like, you just have to navigate it, and if you love it, I swear you'll keep going. There
Yeah.
nothing will stop you because, like, I thought I'm the first person that'll get out of something like that. Like, I don't want that kind of pressure. It's hard for me to get to a party, but once I'm there, I give out all my energy.
Yeah.
So this is really hard for me to, like, if I could get out of it, I would, but I am so drawn to it. Like, if you told me tomorrow there's no stand up happening right now, but if you
You're
told me
right.
tomorrow there was a chance for it, I would risk it and go.
Yeah. It's a passion that you have to have, you can't learn it, and I could tell by your voice, you enjoy it.
Oh, I love it.
What I've noticed, and tell me if I'm wrong, when, I was doing it, there'd be nights where I would do the exact same setup and routine, and on one night, let's say, it would fall flat, and on another night, I would do it and what I felt like I was doing it almost exactly the same way, and before I even got to the punchline, people were laughing, and it took me a while to figure out that you never know what's gonna be a cue for laughter. You really have to be in tune to what you're doing. Have you noticed that?
With all of them. I've
Yeah.
watched guys that have been doing it for years do the same material 'cause, there was a near the end, I was going weekly to the open mic, and
Yeah.
I was watching them, and they were running the same material, and one night they could be, like, the biggest hit, and the next week, crickets. Like,
Yes.
but it's not like it's the same material, same delivery, it's just who's there, the vibe, I
Yeah.
don't know, it's all gotta kinda line up.
Yeah.
You gotta work magic.
Absolutely. I've noticed too, and this was true on my when I did club work and across the board, that a crowd, for one reason or another, would have collectively a personality.
It's
Just
so weird.
yes, just like a person, and you never knew
It's
what
so
personality.
true.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, like, I noticed that too, and I find it so bizarre. I always thought it was like, oh, one person starts laughing and then the rest start,
Yeah,
and maybe that's what starts it, but then they all kinda get that same personality. It's bizarre to me, and it's also bizarre to me because I'll scan that audience because 'cause I'm trying to, like, feel them out,
yeah.
and I don't think I've ever been put up first, so I've always had a chance to kinda, like, watch
Oh,
them.
that yeah,
And they're all different types of people,
yeah,
but then they'll all, like, kinda unite without knowing that they're uniting, and it kinda, like, they get the same energy, it just kinda goes with that vibe.
yeah,
I don't know if it's, like, because one person starts laughing that starts it off, I
yeah,
don't know what happens there, but, definitely notice that and find it so bizarre.
yeah.
But, like, humans are crazy, it's wild.
Yes, we are. What were some of your, in terms of influences? You mentioned that you watch comedians. What are some of the ones in the past or currently that kind of give you that, that's what I want to do. That's the kind of thing I want to do to an audience. Well, what would be some of your idols, some of your people who inspired you?
So as a child, we had 2 channels.
Okay.
So I didn't get to see a lot of actual stand up happening, but I was in love with like Carol Burnett, um, I the Sunny and Cher
Oh
show,
yeah,
like any kind of variety show. I love those sketches.
yeah,
And I remember seeing Phyllis Diller. So I didn't know exactly what, like, I can't say that I got the jokes at that time, but I was really mesmerized by her presence and it kind of stuck with me. So she's kind of always been there. Like she started later in her career. She
yeah,
was 39. She was a mom. She had 5 kids. And she found her way to it. And I was like, I always used her as a gauge. Like, if she could do that, then I still have a chance.
yeah.
And I've recently been, she used a book called Magic of Believing. And I've been using that as a guide. And I've read her bio, which has a lot of great tips in it if you're starting out.
Okay,
It's called A Lampshade in a Whorehouse. It's amazing.
okay. The title alone gets a laugh. I mean,
I know. I was like, I feel you, Phyllis. I feel you.
yeah. Well, that's something that a lot of the pros told me when I was doing stand up is, well, Rodney Dangerfield didn't start until later in life,
It's
and
crazy how many
yeah,
people haven't.
yeah, and comedy is one of those things where, unlike most aspects of show business, you don't necessarily have to be young, you don't necessarily
Mhm.
have to be attractive. As a matter of fact, I would probably have to say that being exceptionally attractive, like, I don't know of a Brad Pitt of comedy. I just there might be one, but
I need to find them.
okay, well, there you go. Most comedians are pretty average looking, or sometimes they're oddball looking, and that's part of their act. That's what makes them good.
Very true. Very
So
true.
yeah, you don't have to worry about age. You don't have. It's just a matter of doing the material and learning it. I got to say, probably my two favorites. Now this is real old school, but I would have to say that the two guys that were in a category to themselves in
Yes.
terms of they were not only funny, but there was a subtext to what they were saying that you knew they were right, and that would have to be Richard Pryor, and
Yes.
the other one would have to be George Carlin.
Oh, for sure. I
Yeah,
love those guys.
yeah, and Carlin, I miss him. I
Mhm.
did
Wouldn't
manage.
he be amazing right
Oh,
now?
that's what I was going to say. What would he?
Oh,
What would he
oh
be
my
saying
God.
right now?
2 hours special.
Yes. Absolutely. Like the HBO special, I feel myself missing it because the insight
Mhm.
and that he would have about the craziness. And that's going to kind of bring me back around to Twitter and your experience because there's no question, without getting political, there's absolutely no question that here in the United States, the 2016 election changed a lot of things, and Twitter was one of them. I don't know what's the mood that's on Twitter now is different.
Yes.
How have you experienced that? Have you noticed more division, more sensitivity to politics, and all those types of things more recently, since let's say in the last couple of
Oh my
years?
God. I mean, I've only really been active on it for like the last since last year.
Yeah,
And even from there, it's changed. Um, it's it when I scroll through, I feel like a negative vibe, like it like that negative energy is so strong that you almost
yeah,
want to get off.
yeah,
And I've fought that, but there's so many people that do want to laugh, and I always fight against. Is this the proper time?
yeah,
Is this okay to do now? But they really like my experience with it is they really do want it, and I've heard other funny accounts worry about the same thing. But it's so important to put that out there because what I found when I would scroll through and see like negative things, or it just gave you like a negative energy. It's
yeah,
like very sad things that are on there, and I would come across like one joke, and it would change everything.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It would help.
Sure.
So when that was happening, I knew I had to, like, stay on and keep going, and I did it. I'm not a political account, at all.
Right.
I'm just there for my comedy. My comedy is not political. So I'm just good time Charlie.
Yeah.
And that's what I do well, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. So I just put that out there. I try to have a fun time. I try to be positive. I try to I really just like to shake people up, like when crap is happening, I this is what I do. This is how
Sure.
I look at it. And it can be silly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I didn't get feedback, I'd always get feedback like, and it could be just one person saying, "Oh my god, I love seeing you on here." Anything like that makes me go, "Okay, well, it's affecting somebody, it's helping somebody,
Right.
then we're going to keep going." And it seems to be working, so onwards and upwards.
Sure. What is your opinion about I know that well, first of all, I've noticed most of your humor is like you said, it's pretty nuts. It has nothing to do with politics.
No.
The one tweet that I noticed, and I'm paraphrasing here, was said something
I'm
about
so scared.
said about here I am walking down the street hoping that I don't run into anybody that I know. Um,
I actually did that. That was today. I actually did that.
so you
And
don't,
I Billy, my neighbors are gonna be like, "What?"
yeah,
But, it's just a thought that went through my head, like, "Oh god, I don't wanna talk to anybody right now."
sure,
It's a human thing. I know a lot of people feel that way. Like, sometimes you feel like it, sometimes you're like, "Oh, I just gotta get whatever." And I make light of it because, like, I know other people can relate to that.
yeah. Do you? I'll tell you where I could probably get a lot of material. Do you belong to any of those Facebook groups, like your neighborhood association type things?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. There's some of the most bizarre things. Did anybody else hear that
Oh.
explosion? I heard an explosion.
Look out for the black car. I
Yes.
saw it. Spotted a black car just driving around our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Yeah.
stealing dogs. And then they see
Yes.
my dog outside in the front yard 2 minutes
Yes.
later.
It's so funny. Our councilman lives in my
Oh.
neighborhood, and he put on there one day. He actually put this on there. He actually
Oh,
put
I
this on.
can't wait.
He said, "If you think you hear gunshots,
Oh,
call the
come on.
police." and, then he goes, "If you know you heard gunshots, call the
No.
police." Yeah, and I don't know what it is. We have an obsession with gunshots. And
What?
yeah, yeah, I have no idea where people are hearing these these
Oh my
gunshots all the time.
god.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really amazing what people and then, there's always somebody who says there's a man walking around and he's got a bag and he's going from house to house and are you sure that's not the mailman?
Yeah,
So,
somebody's checking the garbages. Somebody's in the garbage. I'm like, just leave them alone. What do you got in there? It's because we're drunks, guys. They're getting the bottles.
yes, exactly. Um, so your humor is pretty, it doesn't have a partisan feel to it, but even
No.
beyond politics, even beyond that, I have noticed that everything is going to offend somebody. It's getting that you can't say,
Oh,
the sky's blue without, having to defend yourself.
Billy, I did put the sky as blue.
Okay. And did you offend somebody?
No,
Okay,
but
good.
there's like a lot of people that like come in serious. They come in
Yeah.
hot, and I am like, I really think about my jokes because I really put intent in not to offend.
Yeah.
But so when I do them, they're in good humor and I'm willing to stand behind them. So if somebody did come at me, I'm ready, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm telling you, I put some joke about bouts of diarrhea. And
Okay.
I was overthinking that term. And I was nervous. And then I started thinking, bouts of diarrhea. Okay, like where did that come from? Why do
Yeah.
we use bouts? It's so weird. And a linguist, is that how you pronounce it?
A linguist, sure. Hmm.
They came in, and I love words. Like,
Yeah.
I love, meanings, figuring them out. I love words. I love crosswords. I love it all. So I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, it's like meeting an idol. It's like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
you're here. Like, let's do this." I thought it would be so much fun. And they, like, came in with all the definitions and told me I was like, they did not see diarrhea with bout.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, and they gave me, like, examples, and I got schooled. And then I was like, I made a joke off of it because I'm just like, I was like, I said something about, "Oh, we should be like, I just keep envisioning us as like the Batman and Robin of wordsmithery, which probably killed them. Like they probably were like, what is wrong with her? She's not right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was like dynamite. Can you imagine like, there's a wrong word. I've
Yeah.
got the solution. Pow. Here it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
And they did not think that was funny.
Wow.
And they told me we should take it serious.
Uh-huh.
And I just came back like, well, I think words are, we should have fun with them too.
Absolutely.
Like, hello?
Yes.
So anyway, I get things like that. And I mean, I go out there with like, there's a lot of very serious people, but I can work with them. Like
Yeah.
I like to give people, it's very rare that you would see me attack back. Like I like to give a little space because you don't know where people are coming from, and
Yeah.
you just try to figure it out a little bit. And most of them are just trying to joke in their way or whatever, or you can work with them. And I am telling you, I haven't had a very bad experience. I haven't, or else I wouldn't be there. If it was really bad, I
Sure.
wouldn't be there.
Well, I hate to say this, but there's probably one coming sooner or later. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's part of the territory.
Right.
I've been doing what I'm
I'm
doing.
I'm gonna cry, Billy. I'm gonna cry when that happens.
And it does shake you up. It does
Oh
shake you up.
man.
And when I was a disc jockey, I had a couple of when I was doing club appearances, I had a couple of bad experiences with fans where I actually had to get security. I don't know.
No.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
For the
And
wrong song? What was it? What's going on?
yeah, well, I can tell you a quick story here.
Let's
Um,
do it.
Yeah, I was there was a band that I was appearing with, and during the band's breaks, I would go out and do contests, and we did just stupid stuff like first person to come up here and name 5 things that you can do with a condom other than what it was designed for. And somebody would come up and try to come on, and water balloons and all this. And we'd give away T-shirts and all this other stuff. And I noticed this guy watching me, and when I'd go off to the side, I'd kind of stay to the side of the band while the band was doing their set, and he started coming over and he started making conversation, which is fine. I'm a friendly guy, and he started getting, started asking me whether or not I had a girlfriend, what my home life was like, and I was starting to
Oh
feel,
God.
yeah, I was starting to feel pretty uncomfortable. And so I started to blow the guy off. I tried to walk away from him. And then he came over and very kind of forcefully said, after you're done here, can you go out to breakfast? I'd like to talk to you about some ideas that I have.
Oh.
And I said, no, I'm afraid not. I really have to, get going. And he said something really crude. I don't know how I can say this. He said, if I had a blank, and he used the crude term for female genitalia. He said, if I had one of those, you would
Oh.
go. Okay.
Oh.
So I knew right then I'm
And
in
you would have,
trouble.
Billy. You would have. You would have went.
Yes. Everybody said you should have said, yeah, well, you don't. So I'm like kind of like motioning over to the security, over here, over here. And I don't know why, but I can tell you too. Now, this was back in the 90s.
Okay.
And I can tell you too. People feel very comfortable when they recognize you, whether they know you or not. When they recognize you, they feel very comfortable approaching you in bathrooms. And I don't like
Oh
that.
my God. Oh my God.
I don't like. I'm standing there. Some guy stands up. Hey, Billy, what's going? I'm like,
Pats you on the back.
Some of them probably did. So yeah, it was. I can feel for people who are truly famous. I mean, I was a half-assed celebrity, but somebody like somebody
Oh
who's
yeah.
really well known. It's no wonder they have to have security with them all the time.
It's got to be
Um,
draining.
yeah, I don't know. Before I let you go, I got to ask you this,
Mhm.
and you don't have to get political, but you don't have to take a side. But I have to ask you,
Ah!
as somebody who is, you're up in Canada and down here in the United States, you're viewed like the sane country, okay?
Thank
Um,
you.
and what's the
I'm,
pri- Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to change that.
Oh, okay. What's that young, prime minister's name again, that's up there? Uh,
Justin
Justin, yes.
Trudeau.
Justin Trudeau, yes. I have some female friends who they don't know anything about his politics, but they know who he
Yeah.
is. Okay.
Yes.
And I he's a good-looking guy. There's
He
no
is.
yeah, no doubt about it. So being that you're
Good hair, good
yeah,
hair.
yes, absolutely, and he's a lot tougher than what he looks. I guess he boxed and everything. So he's the all-around, good-looking guy. So by contrast, our politics are
Mm.
what they are. Um, how is the politics viewed in the United States as a whole? I mean, are we considered like the crazy
Oh.
group or
We're, like, steering clear.
oh,
We
yeah.
are steering clear. It's a hot pot down there.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah,
I'm just like, I don't know what I would do if I lived there. Like, I just feel like it's so helter-skelter,
yeah,
and it feels like it's all falling apart from where I'm standing. It looks
yeah,
like it's all falling apart and very scary, and, uh, a lot of, tension, like, you can feel it on Twitter where
yeah.
there's so many Americans that, you can hear from, and, they're losing a lot of people, and not that Canada isn't, but, it's just they seem very lost. There's a lot of sadness
Yes.
and, disarray. I'm happy where I live, I'll tell you that. I love
Yeah,
Ontario, and I feel very safe here right now.
yeah.
And I would not like, because I'm on, it's like a border town.
Okay,
A lot of the comedians, Windsor doesn't have, like, a huge comedy scene. It was actually really hard to find comedy here,
okay.
and a lot of them go across the border, and they hit Detroit, they hit, Hamtramck, like, they're all like, you can go, like, 15 minutes in and find a place.
Yeah.
So, I was on my way there. So, April, I did my last show, and I headlined it, and it was amazing, I was so happy, and it was people from the States were there, and there was buzz that I booked one place, and, another place that he did, like, open mics and stuff, and it was like I got to know him, and so
Mhm.
that was an opportunity, and it all got, like, shut down with COVID.
Yeah.
So and now I'm like, I don't even know when that will be an option to go across again, so now I have to go towards, Toronto. Like, I have to
Mhm.
go that way and, like, venture through Ontario and hopefully keep going across and, wait till I feel safe enough to go back across,
Yeah,
but, yeah, for us, it was a big place for comedy.
yeah.
It was so close.
Is there, one of the things that drives me just nuts about what's going on in where I live right now, and it's not just my state, but it's across the country, is I don't know how to describe it, this insanity over masks. Now, whether or not you
Mm,
believe that they protect you or not is another discussion, but we had a demonstration in the state I'm in, Columbus,
okay.
that's the capital of the state, I guess, if that's the right term. And they had a big protest down there at the state house because people didn't want to wear masks. Now,
That's
what
so
kind?
crazy.
How much time do you have to have on your hands to go to a
I know.
protest?
I'm gonna go fight for a cause, Ma.
Yeah, I don't want to wear a mask. Is it really that much of a violation of your rights to go into Walmart
I
and for 10 minutes wear a mask? Do you guys have that happening up there, or what?
We have it got put in place that we have to wear them now,
Okay,
anywhere we go. So Walmart, you have to have one on. Any store, you have to have one on. And to me, that was kind of backwards that that was just happening. Like, you opened things up, but that wasn't a rule before. It's so weird to
yeah,
me. They should have made it a rule from the beginning. It probably would have been a little bit easier, but, yeah, a lot of people fight it. A lot of people don't do it. Here, I don't think we're protesting that, but, the ones I do feel for are the ones working in factories that say don't have air and they're
yeah,
wearing it for 8 to
sure.
12
Hmm.
hours. That's crazy to me, and, I I wish there was something that could ease that because that makes your work environment really hard, and that's a lot of time. I always wear mine, when I go to the stores. I could go out as little as I have to,
Yeah,
and like you said, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes or whatever, um, and it bothers me. I'm just like,
yeah,
Is this really my breath?
yeah.
Is this me?"
Yeah.
So I can't imagine wearing it longer, but like totally you can put it on while you go shopping. Like
Yeah.
stop it.
Yeah.
And like protesting, I don't even get that. Like we need these right now. Like, isn't it great that you're able to like get back out? Like, I don't know. This is the least you can do. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm pro mask.
Well, and some of the conspiracy theories about masks, it's conforming to a new world order. That's what they really want. They want this new world order. That's what this COVID's all about. And
That's amazing.
it's crazy. Before I let you go, I will ask
Yes.
you this. We chatted a little bit leading up to planning you as coming on as a guest. And by the way, again, last minute, I'm so glad you hopped on because you've been great. You're absolutely
Oh,
fabulous.
thank you. I'm
And
glad you asked me.
oh, sure. And with that being said, you had mentioned at one point that you might do a podcast or something like that. Is that something? The YouTube channel, you actually sing very well.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you, Billy.
yes, yes.
Thanks.
And you, so are you still planning on doing that, or where does that stand as it right now?
Well, the way things are, like, I didn't think I've always done, like, little, like, that song parody I did.
Yeah,
I've done, like, back to school dances with my kids, and they're usually in them, so I don't have those on my YouTube channel, but,
yeah,
I've always loved dressing up and being silly, and I like thinking about, like, props and all that kinda stuff.
yeah,
S so that always worked on Facebook with, like, family and friends, and then with Twitter, the way it blew up, I was like, "Well, maybe is a different avenue because if stand-up isn't happening
yeah,
or happening soon, then maybe I'll go this road." So I do have thoughts about putting little videos on YouTube and, maybe growing that now
yeah,
because I'm pretty happy with Twitter and I like what I'm doing there, but, I need more. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, I gotta get out there. I gotta, see what else I can do. So I'll try anything out. So I'll try that. And I'm working with another comic. We have done about 10 interviews. It's called Moms Are Not Funny. And we interview comedians about moms in their lives, actual moms that influence them or sitcom moms. And then we have other talk with them as well. Like we talk about like what's going on with them or
Yeah.
any events and stuff. So that is still in production. We're
Okay.
working on that, and that should be out soon. And I'll be putting that everywhere.
Awesome. Have you tried TikTok yet?
My comic partner is trying to get me on TikTok. She's like, "Christine, you'd be great on there."
Yeah.
And my kids are on it, but they have like really made me hate it because they twitch everywhere they go.
Oh,
I don't know. So to me, it was just like copying dance moves, and it's just coming to me that it's a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So I
yeah.
haven't really looked into there, but yeah, I would do it if it's like dancing and having fun and stuff. I'll totally be game, but I'm not going to just be doing what my kids are doing because I don't. They drive me nuts with that. Like I can't even talk to them, and
Yeah.
their hands are moving.
I've been experimenting with. I don't know if you know who Gary
Oh,
Vaynerchuk is, but I follow him
that
a lot.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's a entrepreneur, marketing guy, and all this. And he's been talking up TikTok, and he's
Mhm.
saying that as far as content goes, don't look past it because people who looked down at Facebook a number of years ago, people who looked
Mhm.
down at Instagram a couple of years ago, were
Right.
playing catch up once they hit. And so
I
I
gotcha.
yeah, so I went on there and I tried it. I don't know that it may or may not be the best medium to promote podcast and broadcast work. I don't know. It might be. Maybe I'm just not doing it right. I do have a fair amount of followers, but there's a lot of comedians. There's a lot of people who do these short little videos, these little setup joke type things. And
Okay.
yeah, and there's a
Oh, you're
now
getting me interested now.
yeah, and you have that you can do like a 15-second video or you have up to a minute
Okay.
and you can upload it if you want. You can pre-do it, I guess is the way to put it, and then you can upload it. And some of these people, quite frankly, are very talented, not only with the dancing, but they do the voices, they do the comics, they do the little skits, they play different characters. And, it's just like anything else. Naturally, there's gonna be a lot of crapola on there, but by the same token, there's a lot of very talented people on there. So I've been,
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
I've been very impressed with it. So I wouldn't necessarily, dismiss it because for comedy, singers, all that type of thing, those short blasts of video really work well. And you don't
Nice.
yeah, so keep it in
Hmm.
mind.
Yeah, I'll have to research that because I just thought it was like people, uh, lip syncing to songs and stuff.
There's a lot of that on there, but there's a lot of original, people on there. There's a lot of quite
Wow.
frankly, there's a lot of politics on there now too. So, I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff on there. We have been talking to Christine Hall. Now, you can find Christine on Twitter at Christine Comedy. And there's a link, I believe, in your bio to your YouTube channel. I know you say you want to cultivate that a little bit. Is there any place else you would like to mention that people can find you?
No, right now those are the 2 spots, and then when the podcast comes out, I will be, linking that as well.
Awesome. Well, you got to let me
Yeah,
know when that comes out. I have
for
no doubt
sure.
it's going to be good because you have a real good energy. And I'm old school radio voiceover guy. You have a nice clear voice. You can do a lot of things with it. When you want to show emotion, it comes through. So you have all the skills, Christine.
Oh,
You
thanks, Billy.
you have all the skills. You're good to go. And I'm going to be anticipating the debut of that. So be sure to let me know so I can check it out.
Absolutely.
All right, Christine, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Once again, I am Billy Dees. You can follow me on Twitter at Billy Dees. Now, you got to be nice. You can tweet me, but you got to be nice. You can disagree, but you
You
have
could
to be
be
nice.
mean to her.
Yeah, yes, by all means, send the grief to Christine. Uh, Seriously, I haven't done much with YouTube. But one of the reasons why I have recently started doing more with YouTube is it's the second biggest search engine there is. So people who are looking
Yeah,
for the content that I do, and I do a lot of authors and books and comedians and a lot of people like that.
I love
So
it.
I've been cultivating my YouTube channel. I also have a Facebook, Billy D's podcast Facebook page that you can like and follow if you want. So those two, like I said, I'm new to the Facebook and the YouTube for the most part, but I'm a longtime Twitter veteran. Do check me out on Twitter. You can find the podcast pretty much anywhere podcasts are found: Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, on down the line. Thank you again, Christine. I really appreciate you being here.
So welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And thanks to our audience. And we'll be back again next week. Thank you for listening. Well, hello, everyone. I am Billy Dees from the self-titled Billy Dees podcast. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and many more of the best podcast networks. Join me for my commentary and interviews. Follow me on Twitter, real easy to find, at Billy Dees. I am Billy Dees. I'd love to have you listen in.